What's up, guys? Welcome back to the show. This week, we're talking about an off-road racing legend, the one and only Ironman Ivan Stewart. Really cool story on this guy. Went from co-driving a buggy that he helped build to immediately crashing said buggy and then turning it around and having one of the most illustrious Baja racing careers ever. One of the greatest off-road racers in American history, and just sounds like a really cool guy. So get a snack, buckle in, let's do it. On June 5th, 1999, one day after turning 54, Ivan Stewart launched his Toyota trophy truck off the starting line of the Baja 500, seeking his 17th victory at the prestigious off-road race. Only 3 trucks started before him, with 30-second intervals between the off-road racing machines. Just 2 miles in, he passed an accident. Competitor Jason Baldwin had missed a turn and rolled his truck into a group of spectators. Stewart flew by the carnage. About an hour into the race, a voice cracked over the radio. His son Craig had been in that crowd. The only news Stewart received was that he was in stable condition. Assured he was okay, he pushed on and achieved what he'd set out to do: win. But there was little time to celebrate his victory. When the race was over, his wife demanded that he get to the hospital in San Diego as quickly as possible. Craig had a CT scan that revealed major trouble. Once there, all he could do was wait. A foreign feeling for a man who'd built his career on never stopping. While pacing the waiting room, he had plenty to reflect on, from his time as a fence builder and entering his first off-road race, at the ripe age of 27, to becoming the first to win the Baja 1000 solo, an event that earned him a revered nickname, to even starring in his own video game. But now, his beloved sport threatened his family. Would any of his accomplishments matter when the doctor appeared with news? This is the story of a man under the helmet, and how chance and grit changed the face of an entire sport. Today on Past Gas, we find out how off-road racing legend Ivan Stewart went from Iron Worker to Iron Man, and learn what happened when everything came crashing down. Welcome to Past Gas. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. My name is Nolan Sykes, sitting across from me, looking ready to go.
Yeah,
Crossed arms. Really,
I'm ready to go.
Bart Bidlingmeyer.
Is this a better posture and more open?
You can do whatever you
feel
want,
more
dude.
comfortable.
Yeah, just like that for an hour and a half. Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
This is a good one.
Yeah.
The owl on the perch.
That's a good one. And that voice next to me with the donut in front of him this time. Is that a cake donut?
It is a cake donut.
Nice. Joe Weber.
Hello, me. It's me again.
I've been listening to Megadeth.
Some Megadeth. Yeah. Nice. How you doing this morning, guys?
I'm good.
I'm great.
Good. I'm a little tired. I got it. We were out in Texas at the Motor Speedway for the race, the NASCAR race this weekend. We got NASCAR. We got in at 12:30, and I got home at 1:30. So like 8 hours ago, got home. Yeah, so that's good.
Glad you made it.
Thanks.
Better late than never.
Yeah. It was really fun.
Who won?
Joey Logano won.
You're the guy that you interviewed.
Yeah, so we interviewed Joey for, or not interviewed him, but we did like a real mechanic stuff video. Joey Logano reacts to NASCAR, viral NASCAR moments or something like that. And dude, okay, starts off, he comes in to the studio where we're at, and I'm like, hey, so how'd qualifying go, Joey? And he's like, it could not have gone any worse. Like, I was like, oh no.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, exactly. And then over the course of the video, dude, some of the clips that we had selected, unknowingly,
involved him. Oh no.
And they were like some low points of his career.
How did that happen?
I don't.
It was just a compiled.
I wasn't involved in the selection of the clips.
Wow.
And yeah, and
he pulled off his mic and walked out.
No, it didn't get to that point, but it was like definitely like Edgar was there. There's a few times when I looked at the camera like, what'd you guys do? But yeah, a few moments where he was like, man, I really didn't want to remember that. And
no.
One of them, there's like a moment.
He is a cool dude though. He was very nice.
Guys, and there was one clip where it's like the pit stop went really terribly bad. One of the jacks like fell from under the car, and
that's
like
not his fault.
No, it's not. But it did cost him like the championship that year.
Oh no!
And he was like, you could tell he's like not stoked about us looking at that again. And we're like, after the video, we're like, oh God, like I hope he doesn't hate us. And then he went on to win the race next day. Started from like 26th or 28th or something. Just worked his way up. And I was like,
pissed him off so hard that he just floored it the whole time.
I'm never going to be a clip again.
Maybe. I don't know. But that was like a very, it was like, once we saw that, like, we're just like, oh.
Do you think that was that like the RMS team like pranking you, or they're like, this is going to get a good reaction?
I don't know. I think, because like we're doing it in conjunction with NASCAR, and like they were going back and forth with the NASCAR team. And I think for some of them, like the producers didn't realize that it was Joey being involved in some of these wrecks and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a prank. If it's a prank, it was a good one. I'll say that. Mike.
We'll be right back after these messages. This podcast is brought to you by Chubbies. Experience unmatched comfort and style with Chubbies' iconic original stretch shorts. So whether you're getting dressed for your workday, a workout, or a weekend getaway, Chubbies has you covered. For a limited time, Chubbies is giving our viewers 20% off your order with our code GAS at chubbiesshorts.com. That's code GAS at chubbiesshorts.com. Support our show and tell them we sent you. Don't blend in with the crowd. Stand out with Chubbies. This podcast is brought to you by Chime. Chime understands that every dollar counts. That's why when you set up direct deposit through Chime, you get access to fee-free features like free overdraft coverage, getting paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit, and more. Learn more at chime.com/gas. Work on your financial goals through Chime today. Open an account in 2 minutes at chime.com/gas. That's chime.com/gas. Chime feels like progress.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Spot and eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs. Bank ranking and number of ATMs according to U.S. News and World Report 2023. Chime checking account required.
Now back to the show.
Have you guys been to the Cup Series race? Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah, they're really great.
I've only been to the Coliseum.
You were in the pits. I saw on your Instagram.
Yeah, so we were kind of like roaming all over, but we were on pit road for most of it. That was really special. So thanks to NASCAR for getting us that access, because that was not somewhere that like a lot of like spectators are allowed to. Like we were in like there's like an empty pit box.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we were hanging out.
Just like picking up lug nuts.
Yeah, lug nuts are flying. Yeah. Window screens or whatever, those tear-offs. Tear-offs just collect.
Is there a tear-off on the whole windshield?
Oh, dude, yeah, they have like 7 of them stacked up. So yeah, every time they come in for a pit, they tear that thing off.
Because there's a lot of bugs in Texas.
There's bugs and grit and like oil and just fluids.
Yeah, barbecue sauce.
Speaking of which, dude, yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
good stuff. Yeah.
I just heard Edgar go, oh. So it must have been pretty good if Edgar's.
It was really good. So thank you to the people of DFW for having us out. It's very lovely. The roads make very little sense in Texas. I will say that. Have you guys driven a lot?
How do you mean?
Well, because you got like
what connects to where, or
I'm not sure what no, they don't lay out their roads like they do here. Like there's the highway, and then there's like frontage roads next to the highway that are, to me, pretty indistinguishable from the highway itself. It's like, why not just have one bigger highway?
Well, the highway only has so many on and off ramps.
That's the other thing.
And then the local road.
And then there's like local roads off of that frontage road. So you have like 6 roads running.
This is how roads work.
That's not how we do it here, dude. That's not how we do it.
Well, because once
you hit Texas, that's when the rules get weird. Nevada doesn't do it like that. Utah doesn't do it like, nobody else does it like that. It's weird, dude.
All right.
And also, I didn't see one goddamn sidewalk the entire time I was there.
Well, that's not so different than here.
Yeah,
we have sidewalks everywhere.
But I'm
talking not one single sidewalk.
You don't
in
need
Texas.
them.
Yes,
you just walk on the side of the road in Texas
and get hit.
No, you don't get hit. People are looking out for you.
I don't know.
People look out for each other.
I don't know. I don't think they do, dude. I don't think people look out for you.
I did drive in Texas recently, and Zach Deal was like, "Oh, I hate these frontage roads, dude. They're everywhere." Like, so I think it's a thing.
It's strange.
Did you get a Whataburger?
We did not. We did not have time. We thought about going because I've heard so much about it.
It's fine.
Yeah. That's what we
Should we
figured.
jump into this script?
Okay, let's get into Ironman Ivan Stewart. Born in Tulsa, Oklahoma on June 4th, 1945, Ivan Stewart was just 5 years old when his family uprooted and made a life-changing decision to relocate to San Diego, California. Once on the West Coast, Ivan found school to be challenging, but believed it unnecessary for what he saw as his life's trajectory of growing up, obtaining a regular job and starting a family. He would grow up, he would start a family, but his job would prove to be anything but regular. Around age 11, Ivan got his first taste of what was to come when he began racing karts, including endurance go-karting.
That's crazy. Imagine you have to be like maximum 14 years old to do an endurance kart race.
I think
your back would just turn into dust.
Yeah, you'd probably have teammates and stuff that you'd share the kart with. The thrill stoked the fire inside him and got him acquainted with what it takes to race. But at the time, it never occurred to him that driving could be a career. Once in high school, the metal shop and auto class became his preferred haunts. He soon upgraded his go-kart to his first car, a 1940 Ford, and discovered the thrill of the open road. He came to love driving and the freedom it offered. Reflecting on his early days behind the wheel, Ivan recalled, quote, "If you want to go to the mountains, you can drive to the mountains. If you want to go to the beach, drive to the beach." It's a simple concept to most, but to a 16-year-old, a car opens up a world of adventure. Adventure would become a driving theme in his life.
This 1940 Ford is sick.
At 18, Ivan started a new adventure when he married his wife, Linda, and as he predicted, the family soon followed, eventually welcoming 3 sons into the Stewart family. He wasn't wrong about the job part either, at least initially. Ivan spent his days as an iron worker making fences.
Iron Man.
Yeah, Ivan Fence Stewart. That's how he got his nickname.
Everything had fallen into place, just as he imagined. That is, until his high school pal, Bill Hrinko, tapped on his talents to help him build a Volkswagen-powered off-road buggy.
That's such a high school friend name.
Yeah.
Like,
Bill
no
Hrinko.
one would be like, yeah, me and Hrinko used to go do endurance karting.
Anytime I tell a story about high school to my wife, she's like, your town's last names were the craziest.
That's everyone,
I know.
though.
But
yeah.
she might be right, though. I don't know, compared to...
It stands out when you tell stories because you always say the first and
Yeah.
last name.
Yeah.
And
That's
I'm
true,
always
okay.
like, my friend Chris, my friend Bergen,
Fair enough.
whatever.
I just love last names, man. It's fun.
It does paint a picture of kind of like, I can kind of see their face. It's
Yeah.
like, Guess Who?
Okay.
You're like, oh, the redheaded.
Does he
guy
have a
with the
big
mustache.
nose? As Stewart and Hrinko built that machine in the early 70s, Bill promised Ivan that he could be his co-driver anytime he entered a race. Ivan took him up on it the first chance he could, but being a co-driver wasn't as fun as it sounded.
Thanks for helping me build this. Would you like to drive it sometime? Because that's all I'm going to give you.
Just be navigator, basically.
Yeah.
You want to like read a map to me while we're bouncing around?
Dude, it's kind of sucks being the co-driver. Like when we were at Nora,
Yeah.
Immediately, like, they give you, you're supposed to read from the
Yeah.
road book,
Yeah.
like which is a physical paper page
What size
book.
font is it?
The squares with the directions are pretty big, but like
Okay.
it's a spiral bound notebook, and immediately the wind
Oh,
from
yeah.
like driving just rips pages out of
Oh
my
my
book.
God.
I'm like trying to flip the pages when you're going like 65 miles an hour and just
Mhm.
bouncing all over. It
Yeah.
made no sense. Luckily, we had that the map on our
Oh, that's
our
cool.
like dash tablet thing with the directions on it.
Have
but
you seen the navigator who's like, please no,
Yeah.
please listen.
Samir, you are
Okay,
breaking the
Samir.
car.
That's right. You're
Yeah.
breaking the car.
Wasn't there like an expose
Left,
video
left.
recently about how
Yeah.
that was fake and that they set that driver up to fail
Oh wow,
and it ruined his career?
dang.
What?
Yeah.
I was looking at it later.
Yeah, I'll look at it.
Yeah. No, it sounds interesting. I'd
Yeah,
like
I
to hear
want
the
to.
story.
Yeah, I've only seen the thumbnail and I've heard people describe the video to me. But This is
that's like so many of the things we talk about in the office. Hey, did you see that video? Yeah, I heard about that. Well, I guess this guy was set up. Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm just gonna go with that for the rest of my life.
And I'm gonna tell everybody I meet.
Yeah. So frustrating was the best way to describe riding shotgun, mostly because Ivan thought he could drive better than his buddy, but had no way of proving it from the passenger seat.
It's like when your wife takes you to the grocery store. I should be driving. This is horrible.
One of the best tips that I have for anybody in a new relationship, just be quiet.
Close your eyes, man.
Seat. Just like I've had to work really hard not to like.
Oh yeah,
give input.
You absolutely cannot talk.
My wife's like, "Hey, how many accidents have you been in, Nolan? How many tickets do you have?"
Yeah.
I'm like, a couple. And she's like, "How many do I have?"
Wow.
0. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. Point taken.
I had a girlfriend who never used her turn signal ever, and that's something that I really despise in other drivers. And then I brought it up after like 2 years of dating, and she was like, "Oh, my dad told me that you don't need to use it's optional."
That's how that happens, huh? I've always wondered.
And so then we are at dinner at our parents' house.
BMW? Yeah.
No, it was a Kia Niro.
Okay.
But we had dinner at her parents' house, and I brought it up.
But her dad drives the BMW.
No, he was an Infinity guy.
Okay. Oh.
He had
wanted to
the
be a
90s
BMW
Infinities and loved them. But then he got a Jaguar. But anyways, I brought it up during this dinner at her house, and I was like, "Oh, Rachel says that you told her that blinkers are optional." And he was like, "I never said that." I was like, "I always use my blinkers."
I love two things. One, that it annoyed you so much that you wanted to call out her dad for not doing it, but also there's the element of investigating her story because you just don't trust that someone would do that. That's great.
But after that, she started using her turn signal. So I mean, it worked.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's good.
You narked on her.
I think,
but it made the road safer.
Would you please, sir, could you please tell your daughter to use the turn signal, please, for me? For all of us. Okay.
It's so infuriating to me that it would have killed me to not
Great gravy,
brought it up.
Mrs. McGonaghy.
See, that's an Atascadero last name.
Okay.
McGonaghy?
Yeah. My principal, Mr. McGowie. Okay, so
he
Gary
had really
McGowie.
thick glasses and had
He actually drove a 69 Camaro.
Oh,
cool.
that's
Yeah.
sick.
Ivan's fortunes would change in the days before the 1973 Ensenada 300. Ivan, 28 at the time with little off-road racing experience to his name, received a call. Old Bill Hrinke had broken his leg and couldn't drive. It was Ivan's big break.
My leg's all hrinky. You got to come save me.
It was his big break as he would finally have the chance to be the wheelman. Their mechanic, Earl Staw, stepped in as co-driver, and the pair made for the race's starting line in Mexico. In his racing debut, Ivan went all out right out of the gate, only to put the buggy in a ditch not too far down the course. The pair pulled the car out, quickly finding themselves in last place. But things went from bad to worse when the throttle linkage snapped.
I think I could drive better than this guy, ditch.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Immediately.
Damn it.
Right out of the gate.
Everyone's watching.
Right out of the gate, he's out of his element. He's been making gates for so long. Once he's out of the gate, he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Determined to compete, they MacGyvered a hand throttle that required Ivan to use his left hand to steer and his right hand to operate the accelerator.
That's really cool.
That's cool. That left co-driver Earl to do the shifting, with Ivan still footing the clutch and the brake.
That's kind of like
fun.
the closest you'll get to like have a horse's rein.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. To make a 300-mile story short, they passed each and every other vehicle and won the race. The dazzling finish marked the start of something huge for Ivan and the entire off-road community. That same year,
That's why we all still use hand throttle cables today in racing.
Yeah.
The origin story.
That same year, 1973, Mickey Thompson founded Southern California Off-Road Enthusiasts, or SCORE, which would become the main sanctioning body of the Baja 1000, starting in 1975 under President Sal Fish. In the years to come, the SCORE World Desert Championship would evolve into one of the most coveted off-road racing series, consisting of the San Felipe 250, Baja 400, Baja 500, and, of course, the Baja 1000. With that first victory, Ivan became addicted to the thrill, to the adventure, to racing. Having idolized folks like Johnny Johnson and Parnelli Jones, the driver behind the famed Big Ollie Bronco that raced across the Mexican desert in the late 1960s, Ivan now found himself running right alongside them in the most grueling off-road challenges. It was time to beat them. In 1975, Valvoline Oil Company announced a new challenge, the Ironman Trophy, which included a $500 prize for anyone who raced the Baja 500 or 1000 solo in a single-seat vehicle and won. Ivan jumped at the dare. $500.
That was like $45 million back then.
He tackled the Baja 500 without a co-driver and took first, earning the Ironman prize. He followed it up in 1976 with another Baja 500 win, and later that year became the first person to win the iconic Baja 1000 without a co-driver.
That's nuts.
I mean, that's easy to say, like...
No, it's not even easy to say.
It's easy for us to say it and, like, conceptualize that a little bit, but that is truly, like, a great accomplishment of the human spirit, I think.
Yeah. Abominable.
And
Massive.
in 1977, he won the Baja 500 yet again, solo. There was no question about it. The former iron worker had transformed into Ivan Ironman Stewart. The good times kept on rolling. In 1978, he won his first Parker 400, which traverses the Arizona landscape. And in 1979, he took his first checkers at the Mint 400, a 400-mile race around the desert outside of Las Vegas. And we've done an episode about the Mint 400.
Yeah, it used to end at the Flamingo, I think.
Very cool. I just can't imagine doing it in a little buggy like that. Although I'd really love to build a little buggy like that.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check your windshield wipers first before driving in the rain. You ever drive in the rain and your wipers just leave one weird little line of rain across the windshield? It's the car equivalent of having sand stuck in your eye. I can't help but notice it the entire time I'm driving. Checking first is smart, so check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Potential savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate North American Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
This podcast is brought to you by Chubbies Shorts. Guys, Father's Day is right around the corner, and we gotta look good for our significant others and our kids, or else they're gonna disown us. Nothing's cuter than matching with your little boy, so that's why Chubbies came out with the Dad and Lad collection. So go ahead, twin with your kid. Be the dad who shows up dripped out in father-son glory. Use code GAS at chubbieshorts.com for 20% off. Chubbies, built for bonding, approved by dads. Chubbies sent me some shorts, and I love how they look, I love how they feel. I wear them around the house, I wear them to the park with my kid. They're honestly so comfy. And I just found out that they make performance polos. They're soft, stretchy, and breathable. You can wear them to the golf course, you can wear them when you're grilling, when you're just chilling. I really like all the styles and colors that Chubbies comes in. So whether you're getting dressed for your workday, a workout, or a weekend getaway, Chubbies has you covered. For a limited time, Chubbies is giving our viewers 20% off your order with our code GAS at chubbieshorts.com. That's code GAS at chubbieshorts.com. Support our show and tell them we sent you. Don't blend in with the crowd. Stand out with Chubbies. Now back to the show.
Within just a few years, Stewart had evolved from a fabricator and co-driver to one of the fiercest competitors on the circuit. But it wasn't just other drivers that posed the challenge. At the time, and for many years after, drivers faced a plethora of trials while trying to make it to the finish line. Not only was GPS decades away from being common technology, but vehicle lights of the era didn't provide the level of visibility taken for granted today. I mean, the lights on the Baja Blaster, it's like daylight when you turn them on.
Yeah.
It's insane. Recalling his early days of racing, Stewart remembered how the only marked sign of potential trouble ahead on a course was a down arrow nailed to a tree or a post that would fly by. And the only way to stay on course was to follow the ribbons hung on trees that marked the route. The problem with that was that cattle often knocked down the trees, or little girls living in the vicinity of the course would take the ribbons to decorate their hair.
Yeah, that seems like a big oversight.
Yeah.
Don't make pink ribbons your
Fair.
your mile markers.
Fair. In those days, quote, when you got the green flag, you never knew exactly where the course was going to be, especially if you didn't have a chance to pre-run, Stewart said. Pre-running, which required time and extra expense, was almost a necessity to get to know the path. Quote, without GPS and good headlights and technology, it was a real adventure to go 300 miles. Despite the additional costs, pre-running was critical to Ivan's growth as a driver. However, on one such race prep for a Baja 500 run, Ivan got a little more than he bargained for. While out with Johnny Johnson and Frank Arciera Jr., the trio made their way through a barren area of the course when some movement on the horizon caught their eye. Believing it to be a coyote or another desert animal, they proceeded with caution. As they got closer, the image became clear, for better or worse. 3 guys, all buck naked, were running around in the 110-degree heat. While initially planning to take a wide berth to avoid an awkward situation, Johnny thought they might be skinny dipping and that there were probably some girls around too.
Dude's got a wife. Oh, Johnny Johnson.
Johnny Johnson.
Okay, I don't know about that guy.
Who knows?
That guy's a wild card.
Johnny Johnson. As they neared, the naked folk flagged them down. There wasn't a girl in sight. They explained that they had also been
The ratio was totally off.
They explained that they had also been pre-running and their motorcycles had all run out of gas. The riders stripped down in an effort to cool off, but being tens of miles from anywhere, they would have roasted if Ivan hadn't stumbled upon them. This is just one example of the dangers of desert racing. As Ivan often says about off-road racers, quote, you learn to take care of each other because there's always something that is going to happen.
As Ivan often says about off-road racing, if your vehicle breaks, take your clothes off.
And act like a coyote.
Yeah.
That's in the pre-race,
Yeah.
the safety meeting.
Yeah.
Right. And guys, I don't know how many times I got to say it. If your motorcycle breaks, take your clothes off. Yes, good.
Does that mean there was 3 guys on one motorcycle? Or did all their motorcycles break down?
Yeah, they all broke.
There just weren't any ladies around, so
As his career progressed, Ivan moved from buggies to full-size V8 Ford trucks out in the open desert. By the early 1980s, Cal Wells, founder of Precision Preparation Incorporated, or PPI, was building trucks for Ivan. In 1983, Cal approached Ivan about an opportunity to race mini trucks in a stadium series sponsored by Mickey Thompson. The idea of downsizing to a 4-banger didn't sit well with Stewart, and he initially declined. While a bit of back and forth about power-to-weight ratios started to sway his train of thought, he changed his tune upon learning that Toyota would be funding the build of his trucks. As a privateer through the first 10 years of his career, having someone else pay for a rig seemed like a no-brainer.
that's cool.
Ivan signed on, becoming the first driver hired by Toyota for its factory off-road racing program.
That's sick, dude.
It's awesome.
I know this truck in my mind.
Everybody does, right?
Okay.
Everybody does, dude.
No, I don't
Okay,
mean like that was
so?
bad. I mean,
So
this
what?
is like you can't.
No, it's iconic.
Yeah.
Even still, Ivan wasn't completely sold on the move. Then he and his new teammate, New Zealand rally driver Steve Millen, attended a press conference at the automaker's California headquarters. The palpable excitement and sheer number of people who showed up assured him of his choice. He'd later say, quote, in hindsight, that was the best off-road racing decision I made. It was the start of something huge. That very year, Ivan won the Grand National Sports Trucks Championship. After that, Toyota forbade him from racing Fords in the desert. So they built him a custom off-road truck. The relationship between the two was solidified as the successes continued to pile up.
There are so many iconic off-road,
Yeah.
like in the air, behind the sunset, blowing up sand. No matter where it is,
Absolutely.
it is the absolute coolest.
I do want to say, I think the M colors are still my favorite colors in racing, and Martini livery colors. Those are sick too. But Toyota's third. TRD
okay.
truck.
Not bad.
I feel like those colors could also be a fast food restaurant. but they make it look sick, you know?
And on a Toyota, just that little accent.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cool.
With Toyota as his full-time ride, Ivan won his classes in the Baja 500, the Great Mojave 250, the Mint 400, the Mickey Thompson Entertainment Group Grand National Sports Truck Championship, and the SCORE Off-Road World Championships. His accomplishments, as well as the publicity offered by Mickey Thompson's antics, started catching the ears of people far outside the world of racing. In the mid-1980s, the day after winning a San Diego Stadium race, Ivan celebrated his victory at a local sushi bar. As he dined, he overheard a couple other sushi enthusiasts chatting about their great experience as spectators of the race. While eavesdropping, the conversation soon shifted to an arcade game they wanted to build featuring off-road racing. Taking advantage of the perfect timing, the Iron Man introduced himself to the programmers. The quick meet and greet evolved into numerous...
cool.
That's cool,
Yeah.
yeah. The quick meet and greet evolved into numerous meetings with John Rowe, who would become head of the Leyland Corporation. An arcade game developer, Ivan initially contributed by providing information on how the trucks should look and handle, but he'd soon have a much larger role. On the heels of John Elway's team quarterback, the game's developers aimed to capitalize on its niche of celebrity-endorsed games.
You know, that interaction would have never happened in any other restaurant because sushi's so quiet to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine going to a nacho bar
Nacho bar.
and trying to eavesdrop on
I'm
someone's
I'm
conversation.
just trying to imagine a nacho bar because that sounds great.
Yeah, now I just want nachos. Actually, we're gonna get nachos for lunch.
You can
Okay.
have all the nachos you want in about half an hour. A contract was drawn up to use Ivan's name in the game, but it hinged on Toyota signing off to use the now iconic truck's likeness in the game as well. Luckily, Toyota was on board
Good
and
move.
the deal was made, leading to the 1989 release of Ivan Ironman Stewart's Super Off-Road.
I remember this
Listen,
game
guys,
too.
when you're in a truck like this, the wheels just got to spin. You just all the way around, right? And then we spin it all the way around the other way. It doesn't stop anywhere. All right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
how these trucks work.
Oh, okay, dude. Yes. So
That's how the game works.
Yeah.
You play the game, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
At the arcade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
dude, this I feel like a lot of arcades have this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's got the 3 steering wheels, the red, yellow, and blue one.
You've got the
you have
pedal,
the pedal on the floor.
You're standing up.
I think it's really cool that Toyota signed off on this because in our Gran Turismo episode, we talked about how Roof became a big
Yes.
name because Porsche didn't want to sign on for Gran Turismo,
Yes,
which
yeah.
ended up being a huge boost to Roof.
Yes.
And yeah, they only had the Yellowbird in it. You couldn't drive a 911 or anything. Eventually they came around and saw the light, but for Toyota to have this insight early on like that is of course
Yeah.
we're going to brand a
Very
whole game
smart
around
move.
this truck.
It introduced people who wouldn't have cared about Toyota or wouldn't have known that
Yeah.
the red, orange, yellow.
And it was also an arcade
Knew it.
game.
And it became it was part of the culture and in the back of your head.
Yeah.
Totally.
It was an arcade game too, so you didn't have to go out and buy a cartridge or something.
No.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in the arcade already, you see the branding. It looks very cool with the steering wheel.
All
and
you
whatever.
needed to experience just a little bit of stadium truck racing was a pocket full of quarters, Joe. That's all you needed. You can ride over there on your little dirt bike with your friend with a mohawk, hide from the cops.
Yeah, if the cop
In the back
asks
of
you
the
where
arcade.
your friend is, don't snitch.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after these messages. This podcast is brought to you by Chime. Chime understands that every dollar counts. That's why when you set up direct deposit through Chime, you get access to fee-free features like free overdraft coverage, getting paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit, and more. Learn more at chime.com/gas. I can remember waiting for the payday to hit so I can pay my bills, pay off my debt. It sucks. But I think one of the best things about Chime is that you can get paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit. That really takes some of the strain off. It's also a huge plus that they have 24/7 customer support in case you ever have a problem with your account or anything. And you can't beat that there's 50,000 fee-free ATMs nationwide. Chime is banking done right. Open a checking account with no monthly fees and no maintenance fees. Get paid up to 2 days early when you set up direct deposit. With qualifying direct deposits, you're eligible for fee-free overdraft up to $200 on debit card purchases and cash withdrawals. Work on your financial goals through Chime today. Open an account in 2 minutes at chime.com/gas. That's chime.com/gas. Chime feels like progress.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs. Bank ranking and number of ATMs according to U.S. News & World Report 2023. Chime checking account required.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Men today face immense pressure to perform, to provide, and to keep it all together. So it's no wonder that 6 million men in the US suffer from depression every year, and it's often undiagnosed. It's okay to struggle. Real strength comes from opening up about what you're carrying and doing something about it, so you can be at your best for yourself and everyone else in your life. If you've never done therapy before, I recommend BetterHelp because it's so easy to get into. How many times have you just spiraled in your own head about worries, anxiety, things like that? You can't sleep at night. Talking to someone can help alleviate that. With over 35,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it's convenient. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/passgas. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/passgas. Now back to the show.
It seemed nothing and nobody could stop the Ironman. That's not to say that people didn't try. Throughout the 1980s and into the 1990s, off-road motorsports Hall of Famer Roger Mears remained one of his toughest competitors. This guy wasn't just a desert racer either. Like Ivan, he participated in the Mickey Thompson Stadium Series, but he also drove Indy cars, like his brother Rick, who won the Indy 500 4 times, and stock cars, and is a veteran of the Pikes Peak Hill Climb. As the sport grew, so did the competition. After a 5-year gap, Stewart reclaimed the top spot in the Mickey Thompson Grand National Sport Truck Championship. He fell to Walker Evans in 1991 and Rod Millen in 1992 before making another title run in 1993. However, while leading the pack into the last lap of the 93 San Diego Stadium race, Ivan rolled his truck, ending his chance at the trophy. He never won the championship again, and the series itself folded after the 94 season.
Dude, those stadium trucks are gnarly.
Yeah, they're cool, man.
I think during our IndyCar visit last year to Long Beach, they did stadium trucks after the race.
Yeah.
And then they had to stop the race after 3 laps because someone flew off one of the ramps and like busted through a fence.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
you told me
really
about
close to the grandstand.
That's crazy. With the end of stadium trucks, Ivan returned full-time to the desert at age 50. The Fireworks 250 in San Bernardino, California, would be his first major race in his 5th decade. I wonder if they still do that. Taking place on June 30th, 1995, it would be a catastrophic day. The race hosted 18 trophy trucks, racing 12 laps along a 21-mile course. On lap 9, as Ivan Stewart led Walker Evans, another longtime rival, towards the start-finish line, Evans attempted to pass, but ran up on Ivan's back tire, throwing his own truck up onto 2 wheels and sending him into a crowd. Walker struck television cameraman Mark Galecki, tossing him nearly 100 feet. Galecki later died at an area hospital. Dodge, Walker's vehicle sponsor, soon pulled out of the circuit altogether amidst a lawsuit surrounding the tragedy. Walker, 63 at the time, would also retire soon afterwards. He had been the first to earn an overall win in the Baja 1000 driving a truck, doing so driving a Dodge in 1979. He'd win his class in the race 4 more times.
I didn't realize Dodge was into off-road racing.
Me neither. The accident jarred Ivan, but he finished the race taking 3rd place. What happened that day would stick with him for years, but it was another accident that would make him truly rethink his future. After a quiet 1996, Ivan roared back to the desert, capturing a 1st-place finish at the 1997 Baja 500. The next year, at age 53, he'd win it again, pairing it with what would ultimately be his last Baja 1000 victory. The 1999 Baja 500 should have been yet another day at the office, but seconds after starting the race, everything changed. In a contemporaneous LA Times article covering the race, Ivan is quoted as saying, quote, I came by about a minute later and saw Jason Baldwin's truck upside down on the side of the road. But that is nothing unexpected in off-road racing. I had no idea anyone was injured, least of all, my son and daughter-in-law. He wouldn't know until about an hour into the race when his radio crackled and gave him the update. However, the only news was that his son Craig had a bruised shoulder and a bad headache. What he didn't know was that one spectator had been killed and 8 more injured, including Craig's wife. He continued the race under the impression that there was nothing to be concerned about except winning, and win he did. Unbeknownst to him, he drove home with his final major trophy, making his way back across the border to his home outside of San Diego. The house phone was ringing when he got home, and his answering machine was flashing with new messages. Linda, his loving wife of 41 years at that point, frantically informed him that their son was having brain surgery after a CT scan revealed a massive blood clot. Ivan rushed to the hospital to join his family. As he paced the waiting room, Stewart had no course to navigate, just a flow of emotions. Decades of triumph that had led him to this moment, and now, all for what? Hours later, the doctor appeared. Craig would be okay, and he'd make a full recovery. So would Craig's wife, who suffered a severe cut on her head in the accident. Relief flooded Ivan and Linda. In the days that followed, he began to reevaluate his future in racing. He didn't blame the driver for the accident that nearly took his son's life, and did kill another race fan. This was an unfortunate consequence of motorsports. But did it have to be, he wondered? This wreck, as well as the one at the 1995 Fireworks 250 race, had something in common. Vehicles that were driven faster than ever paired with unprotected spectators. It soon became part of Ivan's mission to improve the safety of the sport. Speaking to the LA Times in the aftermath of the Baja 500, he explained how the only person going 100 miles per hour when he first started racing was Parnelli Jones in his Big Ollie Bronco. But now, most off-road races take place with little regard for spectator safety, as trucks fly by at nearly 130 miles per hour or more.
Jeez.
He went on
It's pretty nuts when you see these desert trucks moving.
It's so crazy. Last year, there's a video where we tested and tuned our Baja Blaster suspension out in Barstow. And when we got there for that shoot, we had gotten out of the car, and a minute later, another team that was testing their truck came blasting through these whoops that are right near where we pit. And they're going 90 miles an hour flying over these whoops, and you just see the wheels and everything work, all the suspension working. But it was it's a sight to behold these things doing it in real life. There's nothing like it. So Ivan went on to say, quote, "I'm not retiring, but I want to work with SCORE to start educating people, drivers, crews, sponsors, spectators, everyone involved. We've got to educate people to make our racing safer."
Kids these days don't even know if your motorcycle breaks, you take your clothes off.
He would retire, though. Just a few months later, on November 5th, 1999, Ivan launched off the line of the Baja 1000 for one last competitive jaunt through the desert. Precisely 14 hours, 49 minutes, and 48 seconds later, he crossed the finish line, good enough for the third place spot on the podium. That seems like such a quick run.
Yeah.
Wow.
For 1,000 miles?
Yeah, it might have been
14
shorter
hours?
at that point. Who knows? The adventure behind the wheel was coming to a close. At the end of the last lap, he had claimed 84 desert racing victories in his career, including a record 17 Baja 500 wins. He also claimed 3 Baja 1000 wins, 10 desert racing championships, which includes 4 SCORE World Championships. His wins also entail 17 Mickey Thompson Grand National Sport Truck wins, and
4 SCORE and 17 Mickey Thompson.
and 3 championship titles in the series, which are both records. As one of the most successful drivers in off-road racing history, he earned spots in the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame and the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America.
Yeah, this dude's back is definitely made of dust.
After hanging up the helmet in 1999, Ivan shifted from driver to constructor. He launched the Pro Truck organization to build shared chassis racing trucks. Over the next decade, he built 53 of them, crafting a new path for off-road competition before selling it all in 2010. In one auction, decades of memories, memorabilia, and race-ready vehicles went under the hammer. From one of his spec trucks to his beloved 1973 V8-powered Chenoweth buggy, and even his personal stadium race truck.
His Kristen Chenoweth liveried buggy. Mark, I know you got that, dude.
He turned his energy towards giving back, supporting causes like Make-A-Wish, the Special Olympics, and a school for the deaf in Baja.
That's sick.
That's crazy. That's cool. For a man who spent so much of his life running up and down the Baja Peninsula, it's only fitting that he chose to call the region home in retirement. Even in slowing down, Ivan Stewart never stopped moving forward. Because for him, the journey was never just about the podium. Quote, I got into this for the adventure, Ivan says. It wasn't because of the racing. It was the thrill of the unknown.
I think it's so funny that he, as a kid, was so focused on getting a wife and kids. And then like, all right, I guess I'll go out and have a really adventurous life.
That's great.
Yeah, he's story. A legend.
I could go take a nap now.
Me too. I would love to go take a nap in Ensenada right now.
We could get there in 4 hours and do that.
It's pretty short. I feel like last time I got there in like
you could do 5. It. Look, if you leave real early in the morning, you can get from here through the border in under 2 hours.
2?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I've gotten down to I forget. Oh, it was to get like my Sentry Pass. Like I had an 8 a.m. appointment. I left at 6, and I got there perfectly on time.
That's crazy.
Did my.
But then
then from there, it's another couple hours.
Yeah.
So if you want to go to Ensenada,
it's like 5 hours.
Well, you're going to have another like hour and a half, 2 hours from the border, depending on the traffic. But then if you want to get through Ensenada to like the other beach stuff, it's another like 40 minutes through.
Did you go to the blowhole?
La Bufadora.
Yeah, I love Ensenada.
Yeah. Anyways, Bufadora is great if you haven't been.
Yeah, one of only a few natural occurring blowholes in the world.
Yeah.
Also, one of the only sonic palindromes. Blowhole. 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 Mark, run it back, Mark. Blowhole. 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 Blowhole.
That's been our story. Thank you guys so much for listening. Go follow Bart at BidsBardo. Follow Joe at Joe G. Weber. Follow me at Nolan J. Sykes if you'd like. Thanks to the crew. We got Mark, Edgar, and Audrey behind the camera there and behind the mixer. And thank you so much for listening. Catch us next week. What's up, dude? What's next week, Joe?
Catch me outside with Camaro.
Camaro?
Ooh. Yeah, Camaro versus Mustang.
We're finally talking Camaro. Hell yeah.
We're
Okay.
gonna settle it.
Yeah.
Definitively answer which one is better.
And I think it's very...
Mr. McGowie is going to be listening to this one for sure.
It's very fitting because the Camaro's not going to be made anymore.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
R.I.P. All right. We'll see you then. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Men today face immense pressure to perform, to provide, and to keep it all together. So it's no wonder that 6 million men in the U.S. suffer from depression every year, and it's often undiagnosed. It's okay to struggle. Real strength comes from opening up about what you're carrying and doing something about it, so you can be at your best for yourself and everyone else in your life. If you've never done therapy before, I recommend BetterHelp because it's so easy to get into. How many times have you just spiraled in your own head about worries, anxiety, things like that? You can't sleep at night. Talking to someone can help alleviate that. With over 35,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it's convenient. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/passgas. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/passgas.